Welcome to the Find Your Exit podcast. We're the leading authority on buying, selling, fixing, and growing companies. Michelle Seiler Tucker is dedicated to helping you find the path to retire rich and move on to your next adventure by exiting your business for the desired dream price you deserve. Get ready to find your exit with your host, Michelle Seiler Tucker.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us on another podcast of Find Your Exit. I'm so excited to have a very special guest today, a good friend of mine, Hector Castillo. Hector Castillo is CEO and the regional owner of Exit Realty, New York Metro. From agent to broker to executive, Hector changes the lives of many in the real estate industry. Castillo has strategically grown the Exit brand with 46 offices and over 1,600 agents. In 2017, he was one of the recipients for the prestigious Business Person of the Year award by the Long Island Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. He is a devoted family man alongside with his wife, Gigi, their 5 beautiful children, and their grandson. Welcome to the show, Hector.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. And, I think it's great that you're such a successful businessman, but you're such a wonderful family man, too. I had the pleasure of meeting your wonderful wife. And I don't think I met your children, but I did not realize that you have 5.
5 of them. Yeah, right. Yes,
so y'all are busy.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit more about Exit Realty and how you started in the real estate industry.
So my career, Michelle, pretty much started back in 1988, a year after the stock market crash. Remember that day?
I do.
A lot of people remember those days. And what was
I try to forget those days.
What was interesting is that obviously, I came in I would say June 1988, 1987 is when it crashed back then. And, I did not know what was happening. I was so naive in the real estate industry that there was nothing that was going to stop me from becoming an agent, regardless of what was going on in the news. So I did not even pay attention. Lucky enough, I decided to join in as a real estate professional. And obviously I was working at the time. I had a job and I decided to do real estate part-time for 3 months. 3 months later, I decided, you know what? I think I have to really dive into this business because, as a real estate professional, doing it part-time can be very challenging. And I found later on in the years, I found out that, as good as there's a lot of people that start part-time in real estate, many of them remain part-time in real estate. The problem is, how can you service your clients, your customers and clients when you're working part-time? So, so that, it dawned on me early, and 3 months later, I decided, hey, I got to do this full-time. And that's the way that I started.
That's a great point because, in mergers and acquisitions, I tell agents the same thing, that many of them want to come in and get their feet wet and try to do this part-time. And this is not a part-time industry at all. Your clients deserve full-time attention, not part-time attention.
Exactly right. So what I did was, obviously, I started working with, I work in my career, just to summarize this, I worked with 3 major franchise companies before I joined Exit. So from 1988 to 1998, I worked with 3 other brands, had a great time working there, but I realized that there were some challenges that agents face and that I was facing. And none of those brands really, addressed the issues. Anyway, fast forward, I decided, I don't want to do this anymore. Let me just open up my own real estate company. So I decided, hey, let me go into business for myself. I was doing well as a real estate professional. I say, let me just do this. So I went ahead and I opened up a real estate office in the county of Queens, New York. And, bought the building, gutted the building, put a lot of money into it. And that was going to be my company. 3 years later, I realized that I was not growing enough. I was not growing enough the way that I wanted to. Mm-hmm. So 3 years into it, I went to a convention, Michelle, in Atlantic City, as a matter of fact, in New Jersey. And that is when I met and I discovered, for the very first time, I discovered Exit Realty. I had no idea who they were. And next thing you know, I go in and I say, well, tell me a little bit about your system. I told one of the fellows there. And he says, well, let me tell you who we are. And then it dawned on me, one of the reasons why, so one of the challenges that I had working with other brands was this. So I said to the fellows, and before you tell me who you are, I want you to tell me what are the fees. Let me just get to the bottom line. What are the fees that you collect in your franchise model from agents and brokers when they close deals? He says, well, we have no percentages and we have no desk fees. And Michelle, when he said that to me, I mean, obviously, you've been in the franchise business for quite a few years. You know that there's got to be a percentage usually, right?
Right. I would be like, what's the hook?
What's the hook?
Because there's always a percentage, and a lot of times there's both, a desk fee and a percentage.
Exactly. So the young fellow goes ahead and says to me, well, we have no percentages and we have no desk fees monthly that we charge. And I said, well, how do you do this? And he went ahead, Michelle, and explained that what they did was he realized, he says to me, Hector, the founder of our company realized that as a company, instead of us collecting high profits from brokers and agents, he says, we're going to collect less of a profit. We want to make it up in value. So what we do is that we charge a flat fee when an agent closes a sale.
Right.
And I'll tell you, Michelle, that to me just was music to my ears, because I said, well, this is great. And that's really what really, it appealed to me right away, this business model. But then they went ahead and explained how they do things way different than any other brand. And when they broke it down for me, Michelle, it just makes so much sense. It was genius.
I'm sure they have a sliding scale of their fees, right? Or is it just one flat fee across the board?
No, it's just one flat fee across the board. If you close the transaction, you pay a minimum fee. If you do not close the transaction, you pay zero.
Well, they're obviously very successful because they have how many offices throughout the...
Oh, goodness. Well, across New York State right now, we have a little bit over 50 offices across New York State, but all over the country, I mean, there's hundreds out there.
And you have 46, and is that primarily in the New York area?
This is pretty much in the downstate New York, which is 5 boroughs, Long Island, and a little bit in the Hudson Valley.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And we have a few more up in upstate New York.
So 46 offices. So do you have a plan to add on more offices, or do you have a plan to exit with Michelle Seiler Tucker?
Our plan is to take this company from the amount of offices we have now to 125 offices minimum.
Wonderful.
Listen, the reason why I feel very strong that this is very doable, the reason why is because when we look at the real estate industry, and listen, you've been in the business for quite a few years. When you look at the real estate industry, the biggest challenges is that quite often a lot of these broker owners, whether they're part of a franchise or not, quite often, they don't get much, but yeah, they get charged a lot. Yeah. So actually came up with a whole different concept, a different way of growing the company that allows the agents to make more, keep more. It allows the broker to grow faster and make more and build something that they can sell later on in the future.
And Exit Realty as a corporation is still profitable because it's based upon volume.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Yeah, and that's how every company should set up their foundation is everybody wins. The client wins, the employees win, and the owners win.
I agree. And I'll tell you, that's what I discovered right early in my career. So what I did, Michelle, so all of a sudden I get introduced to this whole concept of Exit Realty in December 2001 to be exact. And I right away I said, okay, well, listen, I want to be part of this company. I want to buy a franchise. The guy goes ahead and says to me, well, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that, yes, we can sell you a franchise. The bad news, we cannot sell it to you as of yet because we do not have anyone representing us in New York. And Michelle, when he said that to me, I went back in my mind back to 1990 when I kind of started in the company. And I realized that I gained enough experience, enough knowledge in this business that says, you know what? I think I said to myself that with this business model, I can do something whereby more agents, more brokers can benefit. So we went ahead and we bought the rights for the company here in our New York Metro neighborhood. And I'll tell you, it's been fun since then.
So you have the rights for all of the offices there. You're not necessarily the area developer, like a lot of franchisees will have area developers, but you have the rights for all the offices. So is that the max you can put in that area is 120 offices?
I feel the downstate New York 125 is plenty. Maybe we may be able to squeeze maybe 10 more, but 125 will give us a pretty very strong footprint, which we already have anyway.
So when you get to 125, the whole purpose of the show is finding your exit. And just like my book, Exit Rich. And there's lots of different types of exits. You can exit to your children. You can leave your legacy behind to your children. You can do an ESOP and sell to your employees. You can have a management team in place and run your business. That's an exit. And or you can sell your empire that you're growing and exit that way.
Yeah.
Have you thought about your exit?
And well, personally, I'll tell you what, though, I have not personally done that, but I can tell you that I speak quite often about this because, I tell the broker owners, my goal here is that if you're interested in buying a franchise, our main objective is to help you grow. Right. Help you grow at a rate that you're able to, number one. But number two, to be able to grow to a time whereby you'll decide when it's time for you to either step out or pass this to your family members.
Right.
And that's really what it is. One of the things that really made a big impact to me personally, when I was first introduced to Exit, is the fact that they introduced a whole different concept of compensation to real estate agents and brokers. And what that is here, Michelle, just so you know, Exit International, what they do is that they reward agents and brokers. Anyone that works with Exit Realty, they reward them when they help us grow the company. So right. In other words, so if you let's pretend that I am the owner of a company and you're my agent, Michelle, and you help me, and let's say an agent, a friend of yours, join my office, Exit International will offer you as a thank you. They will offer you an amount equivalent to 10% of the gross commission of that agent that you introduce to the company. Wow. 10%. So if the agent closes a commission of $10,000, that's $1,000. Now, if that agent stays with Exit for the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years, for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, you will get those residual bonuses.
So are you telling me you're never going to exit?
Me to exit is going to be very.
You didn't really answer my question. So
I'll tell you one thing, though. You see, here's the beauty, right? If a broker owner decides that they, after 10, 20, 30 years being in the business, they want to step out from being the owner, they're making an exit, they want to retire. The benefit is this: number one, because of the retirement benefits that we have, they continue to make money even when they sell.
Oh, that's wonderful. So even when they exit, even when they sell their business, they still get that revenue stream?
Yes.
That will not be passed on to the new owner. That would stay with them.
Stay. So in other words, let's just pretend, Michelle, that you're the franchisee, you're the broker owner of the office, and let's say you stay with us for 10 years. But in 10 years, you have grown your office and you have introduced people into the company. And that's great. You're happy. Everything's well. But 10 years, you decide that you want to sell. So you decide to sell. Okay, the new person comes in, pays the price that you're asking for. You then go to the islands. You go to Florida, Hawaii, wherever you want to go. But because you stay with Exit for 10 years, and you don't have to stay 10 years. You could stay 6 months. As long as you introduce people to the company, the moment that you retire, Exit is going to offer you an amount equivalent to 7% of the gross commission of all the people that you left behind working.
Wow. That's amazing. Sounds like a great company.
It's very different. This is the reason why more brokers, more agents want to join in. But there's something else. Remember we talked about, me having 5 kids, and, I know you have a son as well, right?
I have a daughter.
Oh, you have a daughter, right? Okay.
I'm a 9-year-old daughter. Yeah.
Got it. So here's what happens, right? Most agents have a family. Another thing that appealed to me about Exit Realty, Michelle, at the time when I was introduced to it, is the fact that Exit International says, okay, while you are actively working with us, we're going to offer you an amount equivalent to 10% of the gross commission of the person that you introduce. Makes sense? The moment you decide to retire at any time, as long as you help us grow with however amount of agents you introduce, no matter how many, it's unlimited, you're gonna get an amount equivalent to 7%. That also makes sense. But then they brought this to another area that companies have never done before. And what that is, Michelle, they said this: God forbid you are a real estate agent and you passed away. Imagine you're a real estate agent and you passed away. but you help us grow with X amount of people all over New York, all over the country, because you could send people anywhere. Well, your pre-chosen beneficiary, Michelle, will receive an amount equivalent to 5% of the gross commission of all the people you also left behind.
Wow.
So that means, Michelle, that your family will be well taken care of. God forbid something happens to you, let's say. Imagine.
Wow. Well, that's great. It sounds like a great company. So for any of our listeners wanting to exit their career or their business and get into real estate, sounds like Exit Realty is the company to do that with. All right. So I'm going to ask you one more time and then I'm going to move on. I tell all of my owners that they should think about their exit when they start or plan a business, because the biggest mistake that business owners make, and you know this, the biggest mistake business owners make is not planning their exit. They don't think about selling until a catastrophic event has occurred, and that could be an internal catastrophic event like health issues, divorce, or an external like COVID or the 2008 recession or a hurricane or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So have you thought about your exit at all? Have you thought about if you'll pass your legacy on to your children? Or have you thought about that you'll sell to somebody who can carry your legacy?
No, the answer, yes. There's only so many years I'm going to be around, right? So yeah, the answer is yes. The idea is to, pre-plan an exit strategy whereby this can be passed to someone else. But I'll tell you, because as the leader that I am here in New York, I speak quite often about my franchise owners to also be ready, to also prepare, to build that company where they will also make an exit strategy. They're going to have an exit strategy when the time comes. And that's what we're working towards, just so you know. So
I think that you're enticing them to purchase the book Exit Rich as well, because everybody should plan their exit.
And I'll tell you what, Michelle, quite a few months ago when I first saw your post on Facebook, I think it was Facebook, and I saw the title of the book and I saw this cover and it says Exit Rich. Mm-hmm. I said, whoa, where is this coming from? And then I looked it up and I realized it was you. And you and I met about 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm saying, this is amazing. And I said to myself, I got to speak to Michelle, because this is what I'm speaking about all the time to my real estate people here, especially the owners. They got to have a strategy to exit this business eventually. I'll tell you, I cannot wait to read the book here, Michelle. And I'll tell you, I think in my honest opinion, number one, I think the book is ideal for any industry. But in our case, it makes even more sense. Number one, you capture our name, Exit Rich, and that's what we do for a living. So it couldn't be better than this.
Right. Yes, it's a perfect strategic fit. So hopefully Exit Rich will be in every Exit Realty office.
Absolutely. My plan is to promote you.
Tell our listeners, because this was an interesting story when you had me on your show not too long ago, how the founder founded the name Exit Realty. Tell me that story, because I love that story.
Yes. So basically what happened was the founder of Exit, his name is Steve Morris. He's up in Canada. Steve Morris has been in the real estate industry for over 45 years. And I'll tell you, he worked with one of the major brands up in Canada. And in September 1996, he decided to introduce the Exit system to the real estate community. But the idea of Exit, even though he opened up in September 3rd, 1996, the idea of Exit was really born in 1983. So at the time, Steve Morris, began to develop the plan of Exit, tried it in so many different layouts, let's say, or plans or business models that he calls it, and realized that, okay, well, yes, this is going to work, this is not going to work. So he was always going back to the drawing board. But towards the tail end, he realized that he did not have a name. And he was trying to figure out what was going to be the name of this company.
Right.
So he tells the story how he was traveling. He's been all over the world. So one of those times he went to Japan. He's traveling in Japan and he is in the train. He's in the train, and obviously Japan, I've never been there, but I can tell you from what I hear, it's pretty crowded.
Right.
So he says, I'm sitting inside the train. Okay, the place, is packed, but all of a sudden, he says, the train stops, and above the door, he had the name Exit, and I believe it was also translated to Japanese. And then he saw immediately how everyone was looking for an exit sign to get out of the train. He started thinking about it, said, wait a second, this is a name that is subliminal. You see it everywhere. And
Right.
let me tell you, that was the beginning, Michelle. That was the beginning. And then he started looking into a little further and realized that there are over 1 trillion exit signs everywhere. We see them. We see it in every office building.
Mm-hmm.
Every look, when you travel in the airport, inside the plane, they do that exit sign, that exit dance.
Yeah.
You see it everywhere. You go to the movie theater, there's 2 exit signs looking at you. Everywhere. You're going through the highway, you go to the expressway, you see exit, exit, exit. So he tapped into a name that is subliminal. And you know what the best thing here is? And you listen, you know about marketing, okay? It is expensive to market your name in any area.
Correct.
Well, Exit Realty, all we needed to do is for the real estate community to understand that Exit Realty is the name of a real estate company. And the beauty is that it did not cost us any money to promote the name because they see it everywhere.
Right.
So the moment that someone sees Exit anywhere, they connect it to Exit Realty automatically.
And Exit Rich.
And Exit Rich. It is genius. It is genius. So now that we're adding Exit Rich, that's just another way. That's just another outlet. And that's pretty much that's how that name came about, Michelle. And I thought that it was very interesting because it is subliminal. Listen, I work for 3 brands. I work for 3 other major real estate companies. And I know that they will spend thousands, if not millions of dollars to be able to promote their name the way we're going to get our name marketed here, not just in New York, but all over the country, all over the world, when you really think of it.
Right.
So,
and that's one of the most expensive things is branding.
Yes.
And branding is one of my 6 P's under proprietary. And branding is one of the biggest value drivers there is. The more well-branded your company is, the higher multiple your business will sell for. If you look at the Coca-Cola brand, the most expensive brand right now is Coca-Cola. Because no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how much money you have or don't have, one name, Coke.
Right.
And that brand alone is worth $79 billion. $79 billion just for the brand. So you can go back and tell Exit Realty, let's build our brand up to $79 billion and let Michelle Seiler Tucker sell it.
Exactly. I'll tell you, I just cannot wait to read your book because it's just perfect for what we're doing here as a company.
Right. Thank you. And I can't wait for you to get into every Exit Realty office there is.
Absolutely. Yes.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about, where we are right now. The world has changed dramatically with COVID, protesting, all the issues that Americans are facing right now. The world is facing right now, actually. Has that changed your business at Exit Realty at all?
That's a very good question. And, I was just listening to something just recently, and, we in the real estate industry, we are very lucky to be in this industry because we are one of the 3 areas that no matter what's happening, people will always buy and sell real estate. They need a shelter, right? It's like anyone in the food industry, they know that they will always be in business. Same thing here with us. Regardless of what's happening, people will always buy and sell real estate. So it has affected, but in a positive way, because what we find here is this. When you really look at what's happening out there, let's just talk about the United States here for a second, right? The average homeowner is a baby boomer. And these are the individuals that bought a house 10, 20, 30 years ago. They're sitting on a property with X amount of equity. And quite often, these are the individuals, Michelle, that are now thinking, wait a second, where is this heading? I need to be able to, number one, either downsize, or even go buy something bigger. But whatever it is, they got to protect that equity. So quite often what we're seeing is that a lot of people are now, deciding to sell and quite often downsize, keep the expenses much lower, pull out the equity and hold on to it.
So if the baby boomers are selling, who's buying?
Millennials.
And which is shocking because I've read numerous articles and seen numerous TV shows or like 48 Hours and shows of that nature that talk about millennials are not buying houses. Millennials are buying, condos, or they're renting apartments, or they're living at home forever, or they're buying small type houses. Who's buying those medium to larger size homes?
So obviously a millennial, unless they marry, they will buy into a house. If they have a child or two kids, let's say, they will buy into a house. A condo becomes a little bit too tight for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, ever since COVID, just so you know, we expected the market to take a dive. Right before COVID, when we see what was going on, we realized, I said, well, this is going to really hit the industry, and I think it's going to take a dip. To our surprise, it went the other way, Michelle.
Wow, that's wonderful.
I'm telling you right now, and I'm speaking about New York. Now, keep in mind, it's not across the country. Okay, this is not across the country. I mean, I'm in New York City. I'm on Long Island.
And that was one of the highest affected areas, especially in the beginning.
So what's happening here now, Michelle, just so you know, is that one thing that really has saved a lot of the buyers, and it's also helping homeowners to a degree, is that the interest rates drop. Mm-hmm. That is a big incentive because remember, in New York City, rentals are very expensive. What someone is paying for a rental apartment, with the drop of the interest rate, they now can afford the house, pay almost the same or a little bit more, but get a deduction at the end of the year. So it is a no-brainer for someone to come in and buy, and obviously they could buy with minimum down, right? So there's a lot of activity going on. I'll tell you, we have at Exit Realty, we have an open house. Let's say we have an open house this weekend. I assure you, there will be 20 to 30, 40 people looking at the house.
With mask, I assume.
With mask, absolutely. With mask.
Yeah.
With mask, absolutely, yes.
So you and I have another thing in common, because every time I hear you speak, I'm like, oh, we got that in common. Oh, we got that in common. But baby boomers, you talked about baby boomers is the number one demographic, I guess, that's selling real estate. Same thing with selling businesses. The number one demographic selling businesses are the baby boomers that have had their business for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, and they're wanting to sell their business. So we kind of, even though you're selling real estate and we're selling businesses and doing mergers and acquisitions, we both are dealing with baby boomers.
I agree with you. Michelle, I'll tell you, and I'm going to put a spin on this. Obviously, we want to help our exit broker owners to build and have an exit strategy, right? We want them to read the book. We want every one of our franchise owners to read your book, okay?
Right.
So imagine this here, right? There is another niche that we can tap into, right? Which is business owners. Mm-hmm. No matter where you go, there's business owners everywhere. Mm-hmm. The sad part is that I would say that 80%, 90% of them do not have an exit strategy.
I would say 98%.
Imagine, even higher. I'm thinking this is another way for us now to help the consumer as an added value. So one of the things that I'm going to be speaking to my agents is this: hey, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, understand that this book, Exit Rich, is ideal for every business owner. So here's the deal. Go and approach any business owner and give them an added value. Support them, help them, guide them, show them a path on how they can grow their business and build a strategy, an exit strategy when the time comes. So there's so many ways that we can do this, Michelle. I honestly believe that what's needed, which is really what you bring to the table, Michelle, is the fact that you're bringing the education that people don't have.
Exactly. And, it's like I've been doing this 20 years, and, I started in franchise development, franchise consulting, and franchise sales, and I transitioned to selling companies, and then transitioned into becoming a mergers and acquisitions master intermediary. But one thing I learned when I started selling businesses is 90% of them won't sell.
Right.
And they won't sell for a multitude of reasons. Right. But the number one reason is they never plan their exit for their desired price tag. So when they decide to sell, they say, oh, I want to sell my business for $20 million, not because that's what the business is worth, but that's because that's what they need to retire or travel the world or go do whatever it is that they want to do now with their beginning strategy. So it's imperative for business owners to know to plan their exit strategy from day one, because otherwise these business owners are dropping like flies. I don't know if you know this, Hector, but statistics have changed dramatically. When I wrote my first book, Sell Your Business from What It's Worth, in 2013, 85 to 95% of startups will go out of business. When I wrote Exit Rich in 2019, I realized that changed dramatically. Now it's only 30% will go out of business in the first 5 years.
Wow.
A whopping 70% of all business owners that have been in business 10 years or longer will go out of business.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about it on TV. You hear about Kmart, JCPenney's, Blockbuster, obviously. But what you don't hear about, Hector, is all those small businesses on every street corner in every town and every state across our great nation. These business owners are dropping like flies, and they're having to sell for pennies on a dollar, close their business, or file bankruptcy. And the problem when you file bankruptcy is you just don't lose your business assets, you lose your family assets too, because most business owners commingle assets and they pierce the corporate veil.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, and again, that's why I feel very strong here, Michelle, that, listen, how is it that people open up a business? Well, here's the idea, right?
Yeah.
They have some cash, they get the idea they will open up a business, and they go, but they don't have a business plan that they put together, right? And they just do it because they have the ability to do so. And you're right, they're not prepared.
They're not prepared.
Nobody's guiding them. So that's why I think, encouraging all of our real estate agents to speak to as many business owners out there and have them read this book and have the strategies. It's really going to help everybody. I'll tell you, I am very excited about reading this book. And I want to thank you for putting this together, because I think the business, the local business is needed. People that are thinking of going into business need it as well. So
absolutely. It's, my husband read it and he's probably my worst critic. And he said, Michelle, well done. This is a great book for managers, even managers, a CEO, a COO, anybody running a business, anybody that has anything to do with business. It's a great book for that. So back to you. What did you do before real estate?
I'll tell you what, though.
I'm curious about what did Hector do before real estate. So,
people don't. Very rarely people will ask me what I did before real estate, because I've been doing real estate now. Let's see, now this is now July 2020. Obviously, right? We don't want to date this, but this is July 2020. People may be listening to this podcast or listening to this podcast later on. So basically what I did was, I'll tell you what, I had all different type of jobs. I went to college for 2 years. I wanted to become an accountant. Imagine me as an accountant. I'll be a mess.
You have a lot of personality, so. Not to say that accountants don't. So if I have any accountants listening, don't take that the wrong way.
Exactly. So what I did was, I work on retail, believe it or not. I worked on retail. I got to meet people. I'll tell you a quick story. I went ahead, if you probably remember this. I graduated from high school and I wanted to buy a brand new car. And I said, I want to make a little extra cash, because I just don't want to work on an hourly rate job. So I went and got hired by a company called Kirby Vacuum Cleaners. Remember those?
Oh, I remember Kirby.
So I went to work.
Now you're dating both of us.
Kirby Vacuum Cleaners. And I got to tell you, I was so eager because they offered me a commission. They said, well, listen, if you sell this machine, Hector, you could make about $250 per machine. And I'm saying, oh my God, that is so much money. I got to do this. Next thing you know, I said, okay, well, listen, I want to learn everything that there is about the machine. They trained me. They gave me a 2-week crash course training. I learned, if you know Kirby, it has attachments galore, but it cleans up everything. And I'll tell you, they said to me, Hector, listen, here's what we want to do. And not just me, everybody. There were about 10, 50 people in the training class. The manager comes in and says this, hey, guys, here's an incentive for all of you. Now that you learn how to use this machine, how to put it apart, what if, the guy says to her, what if you go and you sell in 1 week, you sell 5 Kirby vacuum cleaners. Now, the price of a Kirby at the time, it was about $1,100. Okay. He says to all of us, if you go sell 5 Kirby's in 1 week, we'll give you a free one. What you can do with that free one is that you can sell it, keep the money. That's another $1,100, right?
Right.
Or you could keep it and use it for yourself.
Right.
I said, oh my God, this is a great incentive. So Michelle, you know what I did? I started calling. I went to my house. I told my dad and mom. I was still living at the house. And I said, Mom, Dad, this is the deal. Please give me the names of every single person that you know. They gave me the list. I called. I went to see them. I did the 5 presentations, Michelle, and I sold 5 Kirby's in 1 week.
Wow.
So, and that's when my sales career kind of began. And I'm going early 80s.
Did you buy the car? Did I give you enough money to buy the car?
I went ahead and I bought a brand new vehicle. And then I started working in retail. So I always dealt with the public. When I came into real estate, it was natural for me. Speaking to buyers, speaking to sellers. I mean, I'll tell you, I just, I engage with them so well that people just feel comfortable. And that's why, I decided to do this, because I have a way to be able to communicate. And I want to be able to serve. One of the things that we do is to serve people and help them. And that's what I learned to do working in many different jobs before real estate.
Yep. I feel the same way. And that's why I'm so passionate about saving baby boomers' businesses. So that they can sell for their desired price tag and afford a lifestyle they've always dreamed of and deserve.
Yes, I agree. So see, you and I have a lot of things in common. You have your reasons why you're doing this, and I have my reasons why I'm doing this in real estate. And I got to tell you, look, I've been in the business for 32 years. I have met many real estate broker owners that opened up a real estate company, and honestly, they are now building a business. Yeah. So what they do, Michelle, just so you know, and I just hope that there's some people in real estate here, and if you're not in real estate, whoever is listening to this, if you know someone, we gotta help as many of these broker owners. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. In the real estate industry, Michelle, when a broker owner decides to open up an office, okay, they open up a shop, they hire 5, 10, 20 agents, but the owner of the company continues to list and sell real estate. Mm-hmm. Besides listing and selling real estate, they got to teach, they got to coach, they got to mentor the agents, they got to do the advertising, they got to pay the bills, they got to answer the phone sometimes. So I would say about 85% of broker owners in the real estate industry, if not higher, that is where they're at right now. They do not have a business, because when you have a business, it's when you have a management team running the operation for you, right?
That's correct.
Broker owners, Michelle, in real estate, just so you know, and this is not just in New York, this is everywhere.
And this is not just in real estate. What you're saying applies to every industry.
Look at that. So you see, so they open up the real estate company, these broker owners, and they continue to do all the work. So I say to them, hey, if this is exactly what you're doing, and you came with the idea to open up a business, guess what, my friend? You do not have a business. You have a job.
Exactly. You know what? You're taking my words out of my book. You're speaking my language, because that's what I always tell my clients. Let's create a business that works for you, rather than a glorified job that you go to work at every day. And if you don't have an assistant, you're the assistant.
Yes.
Yep. And you know what I call entrepreneurs? Firefighters. Because they're busy putting out fires in their business all day long, every day. So you have to create a business that works for you, rather than going to a job and working for it.
You know, Michelle, so because this is what I do daily here in New York, right? I sell real estate franchise locations. Over the past 2 years, I think it is, I develop a system. I develop a plan for broker owners, how, and I show them a path. I show them a path on how they can be the owners, but they do not have to be the ones running the show. Right. So I show them a plan on how they can hire a management team, and at the end, it costs them no money with our system at Exit Realty. So I'll tell you, it's something that I put together, and I'm going to very soon release it to more people out there, Michelle, because I do know that A broke owner that opens up a real estate company wants to succeed.
Absolutely.
And if we can,
Everybody wants to succeed. Nobody goes into business with the idea to fail. Nobody plans to fail. They fail to plan.
right. So we want to put them on that path that they start succeeding from the beginning.
Right.
So later on, they have no remorse.
Well, and I always say, you have to hire competencies that you might not possess.
Right.
Hire people who are smarter than you.
Right.
And that's tough for some people. That's tough for entrepreneurs. They're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I want to be the smartest guy in the room. No, you don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. You want to, surround yourself with the smartest people in the room is what you want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, you and I have heard the term, work your strength and hide your weaknesses, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and the most successful people on the planet don't do it themselves. The most successful people have people who are actually smarter than them and have core competencies that they don't have. And they're the ones who really grow the business that are behind the scenes.
Right. We have a saying here, Michelle, do what you do best, delegate the rest.
I say that too.
Really?
I do.
You work so well. Why not? Just work on what you're good at.
Yeah.
Go best. Yeah.
And focus on energy management, not time management. That's what we say here. Yeah. So we could go on all day. Tell me what Hector was like as a little boy.
Oh my goodness. Like you're asking me questions that's a question that nobody asked me before, by the way, just so you know. And
I try to think about questions that nobody else is going to ask.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you asking that. And I'll tell you, and I'm going to say this for the very first time because people have not heard this before, by the way. I had two uncles. I remember so clear. One of them would dress very casual, right? He was very casual with the dress shirt. And that's it. No tie, just a dress shirt. Then I had another uncle. They both own a shoe store. They own a shoe store way back home. And the other one was always wearing a three-piece suit. Okay. Wow. So to me, every time I saw them, they looked so well groomed, so well professional. And I'll tell you, and that kind of stuck in my head for years. So my father back home went ahead and opened up a shoe factory. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And I was only at the time, Michelle, I was only about, maybe 4 years old, 5 years old.
Where was that at, Hector?
I was born back in El Salvador.
Cool. So he opened up a shoe factory in Salvador?
He opened up a shoe factory, and it was a very small one, but he had about 5 to 10 guys working for him. And I mingled with all of them. So as I grew, and I went to school over there, I came here back in 1975. And I'll tell you, when I started getting my first jobs in sales, it reminded me of my uncles, and I wanted to imitate them. So when I started real estate, see, right now I'm dressed very casual. I'm at the home office right now, but you will always see me with a shirt and a jacket, always. I always need to look professional. And I took that, not from my dad, because my dad never dressed like that, but my uncles way back when I was 4 or 5 years old.
Wow. So they were your true influencers.
They're big time influence on me. And I'll tell you, I got to give them a lot of credit for what they did. And, I tried to imitate what they did, and they were very successful in their field. And that's what I did. So, I have 2 siblings. I have a sister, I have a brother. My mom and dad, they're still here. And, we have had our ups and downs like every family, but I'll tell you, I came here in 1975, and, this is home now.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you have 5 children between the ages of?
The oldest one is 33. The youngest one is 9.
Wow. So I have a 9-year-old. You have a 9-year-old. Something else we have in common. Are you growing them up in the real estate business? Or are you growing them up to be entrepreneurs?
3 of them are. 3 of them are in the business. Yeah, the oldest 3. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So what advice do you have for business owners? What's the number one thing or number one advice that you live by on a daily basis that you think has really helped you catapult your business to the next level?
Oh, perfect. I'll tell you what, because we all have different personalities, right? Remember that. Quite often, me personally, I can tell you that one of the things that really has helped me in my career is the following. Ever since I was in sales, I was always looking to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I always did, I was always very open-minded. I never say, and I still never say, I know all of it. I know everything about real estate. No, 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 no. There's
Right.
always something else. So what I say, when I say open-minded, I believe that open-minded, the term open-minded relates to three other areas, and these are the ones. Being open-minded, in my opinion here, Michelle,
Uh-huh.
is someone that is teachable, coachable, and trainable.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what business you're in, if you allow yourself to be teachable, coachable, and trainable, you're going to be just fine. The
Right.
problem is that I see a lot of individuals out there that, and I'll tell you, I meet a lot of people out there. I approach people that I want to perhaps sell them a franchise. And one of the questions that I ask, and I always ask, well, tell me something here, Mr. Mrs. Broker owner. Are you an open-minded individual? And the answer always is yes. But then I expand. So are you telling me that you are teachable, coachable, and trainable? And that's when they start thinking. I say, well, maybe not. So
Yeah.
if I was to give an advice, I would say that I live by that all the time.
I think that is great advice, because if you go back to my statistics, how business owners, the business landscape has changed dramatically, and 70% of business owners being in business for 10 years or longer are going out of business. It's because of that reason.
Right.
It's because they get into business, they've been in business for decades, they stop innovating, they stop marketing, they stop listening to mentors, or they don't have any mentors, and they think they know it all. And when you
Right.
stop innovating, you stop marketing, and you stop listening to your customers, and you stop making it easy to do business with you, that's when your customers are going to go somewhere else. So
Yeah.
you have to be coachable, trainable, and learnable, no matter how old you are, no matter how long you've been in business. If you've been in business for 50 years, it doesn't matter. Would you agree? Because things are always evolving. And you
Totally.
have to keep up with the times. And that's what happened to Blockbuster. They saw the writing on the wall with Netflix, and they did nothing. They sat back fat and happy. And then they end up going out of business because of that.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think that's great advice. Wonderful advice.
yeah. And if I was to add another advice here, would be the following: have a mentor, have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's key.
I
That's
agree 1,000%, because their road, their path is much
Mm.
shorter than you
Right,
trying to do it on your own, which is much longer,
right.
right?
And you see quite often, right, a coach, a mentor has most likely already built something or done something in the past, right? It doesn't have to be your business that they built on, right?
Right.
So I have a quick story. Tell you a quick story, Michelle, right?
Huh? I love stories.
So I'm going back. Let's see. I would say this is now 2020. I'm going back maybe 2007. The founder of Exit Realty, Steve Morris, was sitting at a convention, at a conference in Atlantic City, and was sitting over dinner. And he tells the group, there must have been about 8-10 of us, and he says, he looks at me. He says, Hector, I'm thinking about doing a contest. This is now December. We have a conference with Exit International with all the regional owners. He says, we have a conference coming up in, let's say, March or April, whatever that is. And I'm looking for 5 regional owners like yourself who are willing to come up to Canada at one of the training session, at the session over there, and do a push-up contest. And I'm saying, push-up contest? I'm thinking, where is he going? Where's the relation? Real estate push-up? And I said, okay, well, what are you saying? He says, well, yes, I want to find 5 individuals who are willing to come at the conference, do a push-up contest. And here's the way it's going to work. Okay. The winner is going to get $5,000 in cash. And I said, okay. There's going to be someone next to each one of you, and the person is going to put their fist on the floor, and you have to make sure that you touch them with your chest to make sure that you go down enough.
Right.
Then he looks at me, right? Look at me. I mean, I'm not a big dude, right? He looks at me, he says, well, how many push-ups can you do? He says to me. I said, please don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm not, he says, not really. How many push-ups can you do? I said, listen, if I do 10 push-ups, I got to have 3 breaks. Okay. So please don't look at me. And then he starts talking about the whole thing again, right? And then he comes back again. He says, are you in? And I'm saying to myself, you got to be kidding me. He's now challenging me now. So Michelle, so here's what I said. I said, you know what? Fine, I'm in. So remember, you got to do the most, by the way, the most push-ups in 1 minute.
In 1 minute.
1 minute. So obviously, Michelle, I have never done, see, and this relates to what we were just saying about having a mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have never did that. I have never done that before. Okay. When I do push-ups, I don't know, in a minute, maybe I do 3, right? So.
Well, it's good that you're not competing with me because I could do 35 in a minute.
What happens, right? So what happens is I said to myself, okay, well, I like to win. Okay. Mm-hmm. I like to compete, right? I don't want to lose. So I got back home and I said, okay, how am I going to do this? I says, I have an idea. Let me go around the corner from the house. Let me go into the gym and I'm going to speak to the guy. So I go into the gym around the corner and I speak to Jerry. Okay. The owner, Jerry. I said, Jerry, I was not a member of the gym, just so you know. So I said, Jerry, my name is Hector Castillo. I want you to know that I was challenged to do a contest, a push-up contest, to see who can do the most in 1 minute. And I'd like to know, Jerry, if you can help me. He looks at me, right? He looks at me and says, yeah, I think I can help you. Great. Tell me how much you want to pay you. He says, tells me a fee, no problem. Let's do it. So we work out 3-4 times a week. 3-4 times a week, Michelle, okay? Remember, this is now December to, let's say, the end of March, okay? Every week. So he had me doing every exercise that you could think of. And then I started doing push-ups. Michelle, I got to a point that I was doing 107 in 1 minute.
170?
107, wow. 107.
Oh, 107, but still, I could do 35, 107, wow.
Michelle, I was a machine. Oh, I was going so fast. So.
But he didn't start with push-ups. He started with other exercises.
Oh, he started with everything, all the other exercises. Okay. Later on, whenever he felt that my upper body was strong enough, I started working on that. So 10 years prior to that, I was injured. Okay. I was playing golf and I got injured with a rotating cuff. So he had me doing all these weights. Fast forward, it's a week before the event. I'm doing all these push-ups. I'm doing 105, 107, and he's happy. I'm happy. I'm excited. That day, a week before, he got me doing some bench press, and he put a lot of weight on me. That my shoulder, Michelle, I couldn't do it anymore. And I said, Jerry, I'm hurt, man. I am hurt. I cannot do this. About this contest, I don't think I can do this. You know what he says to me? He says, Hector, listen, we're going to stop working out. We're not going to do any more, okay? Rest it out for the week. Here's what you do, he says. Go in there. He said, you know that you did 107. Nobody else knows. You and I are the only ones who know that you can do 107. Just go into the contest and see the most you can do. Do the best you can, Hector. I says, you know what, Jerry? Let's do it. Let me just take a break for the week. So I get to the conference, okay? And he gives a shirt to every one of them, all the 5 guys. I'm the smallest guy out of the group. One of them is a bodybuilder. I mean, this dude is big. Another one, I think, was in the Marine or Navy, whatever it is. I had no chance. Imagine that, right?
Right.
So he calls everybody. Everyone now lines up. There's someone next to us that's going to put their fist on the floor, and the contest begins. And I start going fast. Okay. I got to 76 push-ups and I said, these guys kill me. They destroy me. I'm thinking to myself. To my surprise, I beat everyone at 76.
Wow. That's incredible.
So what's the message here? The message here is this, Michelle. You know, I became part of this contest of something that I've never done before. It's like owning a business that I never built before.
Right.
How the heck am I going to try to win this contest if I don't have a mentor, I don't have a coach?
Right.
You see the analogy here?
Absolutely.
So, and that's really what the story is about. It's about allowing yourself to be teachable, coachable, and trainable, like I said earlier today.
Right. And I always tell my clients that when you're in your fog, it's foggy. And it's not what you know that will get you in trouble. It's what you don't know. And it's hard to read the label from the inside of the bottle. You need an outsider's perspective to keep you out of the danger zone.
That's correct. That's
So great. So it was wonderful. Anything else that you would like to add for our listeners, Hector?
No, listen, I just tell you, I just want to thank you again, Michelle. Obviously, you and I know each other for about, I think it's about 5 years that we know each other. And I am so glad, I'm so happy, I'm thrilled that you have put together this book that people can benefit from, because being in the real estate industry, I know many people in real estate, whether they were agents or brokers, they left the industry with nothing to show.
Right.
With this book that you have written, this guide, these steps that you're going to give them in this book, and if they were to follow, hopefully they have an opportunity to build and have an exit strategy that they can sell for a little more than what they could do on their own.
Right. Because this book is all about exiting rich, but it's building a business that's scalable,
right,
and sellable. Because that's the big thing, scalable and sellable, because most businesses are not, unfortunately. Most businesses are not running on all 6 cylinders. I call it all 6 Ps that you'll learn about in Exit Rich.
I cannot wait to read it, my dear.
So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you.
And for all of our listeners, thank you so much for joining another episode of Find Your Exit. So Hector, how can our listeners reach out to you?
Yes, obviously, you could find me on the internet, obviously on social media, Hector Castillo. But the easiest way to reach me is through email. My direct email is hc@hectorcastillo.me. My cell number is area code 347-624-2251.
Wow, you're giving out your cell phone.
Most available, my dear.
So you can find out all that information of how to reach Hector at findyourexitpodcast.com. And be sure to follow Hector and make sure you reach out to him, especially if you're looking for a career, if you're looking to find your exit and exit whatever you're in into real estate. Make sure you talk to Hector and look at Exit Realty.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Find Your Exit podcast. Don't forget to check out Michelle Seiler Tucker's Build to Sell Blueprint books and Exit Rich, along with more blogs, videos, and resources at findyourexit.org. Be sure to connect with Michelle on Facebook or LinkedIn, and stay tuned for her next episode by subscribing in your favorite podcast player.